In my humble opinion, when it comes to learning a language, there is no wrong or right method you are using as long as you are enjoying the process, as long as you are enjoying your language journey. On my Fluent podcast, I try to share my tips and tricks how to become a fluent speaker. Even though I am focusing at the English language, of course these methods or tips apply to other languages as well, I guess. And usually or recently I have conducted several interviews to learn about the learner's methods and also to get my English speaking practice. And this time I thought I'm gonna do a monologue for once, and on top of that I want to share you an episode of another podcast of mine, because sometimes I do this, I do some sort of a crossover publishing, and I'm gonna tell you one or two things about that. So I have this other show called Quora Knows Best, in which I basically just read out loud different articles, or I read out loud a lot of answers to one particular question. So the questions are not always about the same topic. So it's just when I come across an interesting question, I focus on that and I read out loud some comments. And by doing so, I get my reading practice sort of, and at the same time I can learn some vocabularies because I try to jot them down, unknown words, and by doing this, it's just an engaging way because it's what I like to do, and at the same time I can help other listeners out, maybe. So listen up to this episode, which covers the question: when you listen to a podcast, what turns you off most? And I will give you 10 answers, so have fun, even if it's not the usual topic. So you can consider it to be a special bonus episode, kind of. That's the reason why I won't number it. Hello guys, welcome back to Quora Knows Best, and I am Daniel Goodson, the host of this show. Today's question is: when you listen to a podcast, what turns you off most? What a great question, especially of course because it concerns me, because I have several podcasts, so I'm sure I will learn something from today's answers, which come from a lot of different people, in fact. So, number 1. This is a great question. I think it's when there is loud music or abrupt sections. I feel like you can blend sounds and pan or space them out so the ear can receive the audio quality context part of the message. So number 2 is short. Daniele wrote just one single word: ums.
And communitarianism, building neighborhoods that gentrify schools.
Number three is when a guest throws up a softball and the host doesn't hear it because they are worried about hearing themselves talk, or just fingernails on chalkboard. Number 4 is sudden bigotry. Well, to be honest, I had to look it up because I didn't know what bigotry means. Another word for bigotry could just be intolerance or prejudice or bias or fanatism. According to the Merriam-Webster website, bigotry means stubborn or intolerant adherence to one's opinions or prejudices. Number 5, Lorenzo's opinion is unusable audio, over-diluted or not interesting content, lack of editing when needed, show notes missing, people talking on top of each other constantly. Too little, too much energy.
Scotty,
Overpitching of products or services. If you take these into account, saturation in podcasting is totally not a problem. Number 6, Samia claims, I don't enjoy too much banter and flattery between the hosts and or guests.
Your English is pretty
Another
good.
great word which I didn't know before, and I mean the word banter, which apparently means good-natured teasing or exchanging of clever remarks. Number 7 comes from Justin, and he says, too many ads. I'm okay with a couple ads. I hate the 9 minutes of ads you get with some podcasts though.
I've got a whole series of excuses, Daniel.
How is Luke, one of the most famous podcasters, teaching English to millions of learners, doing when it comes to learning a language?
You know, my French isn't improving, but my excuses are getting better every day.
Learn more about it and listen to my Fluent podcast. I'm Daniel, learn from and with a language learner. You'll find the interview on episode 28.
I'm fluent in excuses in terms of my French.
Also, lengthy dead air. If it's long enough for me to question if something is wrong with my phone, it is too much dead air. I've heard a few episodes where there was 30 seconds of dead air just left in. Alright, next up is number 9. The answer to the question, when you listen to a podcast, what turns you off most? Robin wrote, I think the worst thing about a podcast is when someone continues to stretch it out when it should already be done. It's about providing good content, and when the content runs out, let it run out and be done.
Cut to the chase about
That was number 9. So guys, we have only 54 answers left. Number 10 comes from Christine. She says, disorganized rambling content. So guys, that's almost it for today. Thank you very much for tuning in. I am Daniel Goodson, the host of Quora Knows Best. If you like this show, and especially if you are a language learner, then the show called My Fluent Podcast might be of interest for you. And I have another show as well, which is called The Vocab Man, in which I explain different expressions and useful words so that you become a more fluent English speaker. If you have any suggestions or tips for future episodes, just send me an email to myfluentpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks and bye!
Okay, let me just cut to the chase. All right?